Do you think it's wrong for a guy to not want to date let's say she's a fantastic woman. Would you object to a guy not wanting to date a woman who's overweight?
I would think...
You can answer the question. Go ahead.
I wouldn't think it's fair.
Say it with your chest. What?
I wouldn't think it's fair.
You wouldn't think it's fair.
But where in dating does fairness exist? Where in attraction does fairness?
Overweight, but like, what if she was like, what you guys were talking about, like a virgin and like all these other things, but she's just overweight?
The number one factor.
I feel like that could be changed though. Like that, you could work on that.
Yeah, you can. But the number one factor in attraction as men.
What if she has like a health condition? What if she has like thyroid problems or something like that, and she just like
that doesn't.
So it does bother you then?
That doesn't. But look, let me. That doesn't change the visceral response we have to seeing a woman. When we see a woman and a woman is attractive, subconsciously we have a response. We release serotonin, norepinephrine. These are responses that we have to seeing women who are attractive. If we don't get that response, and it's because she's overweight, we don't get that response.
I agree, and I'm not saying don't put your health and make it like a priority. But I was just saying, like, I just didn't think that that's fair. That like,
I just don't understand how a preference is unfair.
Yeah, it's a preference. Like,
does anyone
that's what
here?
I was saying.
Before I have anybody else come in, does anybody agree with her? Anybody agree?
No.
Do you agree, Nicole?
No.
Anybody? Okay.
Wait, hold on. Let me.
Yeah.
How would you feel if?
Wait, if I was obese, that makes me unmarried, unmarriageable?
No,
like unwifeable, not high value just because I'm overweight?
No, what we're saying is that men have a preference for slimmer bodies, especially it can be context specific because weight is the one factor that is variable cross culturally depending on where you are. So if you go somewhere where food is scarce, women who are heavier would probably be more desirable because it speaks to them being healthier. But where food is abundant, you would like smaller women. So in the West, food is abundant. We're overweight. Women are overweight. So that means they're consuming too much and not doing enough exercise. But what we're saying and what I'm saying is, I just wanted to ask, if your boyfriend was to cheat on you with a fat woman, how would that make you feel?
Oh, that would hurt my feelings.
That would hurt your feelings, right?
Yeah.
Like not even just the cheating itself, but the fact that it's a fat woman. Would that?
Well, it would hurt me just in general that I got cheated on.
But wait, because women engage in intersexual competition too. So one of the things women will shame other women for is being fat. So that's why I said that women call each other whores. They talk about how old they are and they talk about being fat. So you know that being fat is not inherently desirable to men. You would feel more offended if your guy cheated on you with a fat woman because you'd be like, really? Like, the bitch is fat.
No, and I'm admitting to that, but I'm not going to sit here and like be mean to bigger women or like bully them because that's just not in me. I'm not. Well, I like think all women are beautiful. I was just sticking up for them.
Are all men beautiful?
Yeah, in their own way. Yes, everyone.
But
everyone
are all men desirable?
Are you physically?
To somebody, yes.
No, but
everybody is for somebody.
No,
I believe that.
My question that I asked you was, do you object to a guy not wanting to date a woman because she's overweight? And you said yes. You do. You would object to that. You think it would be unfair to judge a woman based on her weight. However, you wouldn't just date anybody, would you?
No.
I'm sure. Do you have criteria and standards and preferences? Are some of those physical preferences?
That's what he thinks, though.
No, but you would object. You said you'd object to it. You think it'd be unfair.
Yeah, but
so,
that's his own opinion. That's what he wants. How tall are you? I'm 5'7".
Would you date a guy who's shorter than you?
No, but I have.
So yes.
So that's unfair.
So yes.
That's unfair that you and I would also point out, height is totally out of a guy's control. You can't control your height as a guy. As a woman or a man, you can control your weight. So I would actually argue it's much more unfair to judge a man by his height than to judge a woman by her weight. However, it's totally cool. Women will actually insult short men. They'll use it as an attack. They'll make TikTok videos saying, you must be this tall to date me, blah, blah, blah. But if a man were to say, I wouldn't date a overweight woman.
There are men though that prefer that though.
Yes, there are. I would say most don't though. And I'd say the men that prefer overweight women, they do it out of necessity because frankly, they aren't capable of securing a partner who is more trim.
Are you calling them insecure?
No, I'm not calling them insecure, but like the reality is a lot of men date necessitously. Is that even a word? Necessitously? I don't know if that's a fucking word.
You might have made that one up.
I might have made that one up. They date out of like most men have very few options. So I think the saying goes, I haven't used this one in a while. Women date who they want. Women sleep
with who they want.
Women sleep with who they want. Men sleep with who they can.
Yes.
True.
So if that's your only options, look, there's some men with fetishes. That's fine. Those are outliers. The majority of men probably prefer women with a healthy BMI and who are not overweight and obese. Let me ask, do you have a height minimum when it comes to who you date?
Not a minimum, but like I would prefer somebody that's at least like my height, 5'7" and above, which I don't think is that difficult.
How tall was your last boyfriend?
We were the same height, 5'7".
Same height?
Yeah.
Okay.
Maybe he would have been 5'8".
Right. So the reality is most women would probably prefer to date a guy who's taller than them.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody bats an eye at that. But when a guy says, I don't want to date a woman who's overweight, oh my God, fat shaming, insecure, blah, blah, blah.
I didn't say he was insecure.
You said you object to a man not wanting to date a woman who's overweight. Go ahead.
And I think it goes both ways too, because when you are looking at a potential partner that is overweight, you got to think about when I have kids, A, it might be harder for them to have kids. B, they could develop heart issues like heart's disease, not to mention they have a shorter overall lifespan. So knowing that you're going to be getting into a relationship and that person might and probably is most likely going to die before you, and you're going to be alone with the kids, why would you enter into a relationship knowing that those might be the terms and costs because of weight?
Okay, if that's the argument, then the guy needs to be literally in the gym every day. He needs to be on top of his health also for him to be able to say that. And then I would be like, okay, that's valid because you take care of your health and you make that a priority. Then I'll respect that. But like just being like a big heavy set man and being like, oh, I'm not gonna date somebody that's big, like what? Like you have a lot of nerve.
I mean, you make a fair point. However, I would argue that a lot of women desire traits in men that they themselves do not possess. For example, a lot of women want a guy who's funny. Are they funny themselves? A lot of women want a guy who's tall. Are they funny themselves? A lot of women want a guy who's charismatic. Oh, did I miss that?
Yeah, you said funny. Yeah, you said funny.
Oh, sorry. Okay. A lot of girls want a guy who's super confident and has charisma, yet they're not charismatic or confident themselves. A lot of women want a guy who's rich. They're not rich themselves. So both men and women desire traits in a partner that they themselves do not necessarily possess. Now, I do think when it comes to if you're a fat dude, women can also choose to not date an overweight dude. That's totally fine. That's totally valid. So, yeah. Oh, I thought there was going to be a response. Okay.
Oh, can I say something?
Oh, yeah, of course.
I just, I often hear women say things like it's not fair. And I always say dating is not fair. Attraction is not fair. Men and women are sexually dimorphic. We have different mating strategies. We've evolved different sexual selection strategies. And it's for the betterment of us pushing along our lineage. That's it. It's just about what is most sustainable, what is most attractive to us that will allow us to have kids and their kids to have kids and their kids' kids to have kids. That's simply what it is. Dating is competition. And competition, everybody can't win. And you said you think there's somebody for everybody. I mean, clearly that's not true. That's not the reality of how the world works. Because for one, there's more.
You don't think that there's somebody for everybody?
How can there be
there's so many people on this planet?
How can there be when there's more women than men? That's number one. Every man is not desirable. Not even there's a woman who's going to find you attractive somewhere. No, a lot of these guys that you see in the chat and stuff like that,
They're all Giga Chats. All the chat's Giga Chats. They're all fucking 10 out of 10.
But the point is everybody's not going to find somebody for them. That is like fairy tale
Cheeks.
utopian talk.
Looking at you, man. Giga
And
Chat.
if that was the case, the divorce rates wouldn't be as high as they are. Rejection wouldn't be as common as it is. Men on Tinder who can't get any type of swipes, matches, that wouldn't happen. So dating is just not fair. It's not fair. It's never going to be fair. And the fact that we select each other on physical qualities, physical traits, physical characteristics, it serves a purpose. It serves an evolutionary purpose. And women have to suck that up. Have to be okay with it because it's reality.